Hi friends, welcome back to Nearly Same Games. I'm Neil, and this is the Calling Vegas report. On Saturday, the main event happened, and while that was going on, I was off doing Monarch sealed events. Let's take a look at some of the decks I built and how those games went. Alright, let's have a look at my first deck. First off, the equipment. Halo of Illumination, Ironside Helm, foil. Ooh. These were good to have options. If I'm playing someone like Bolton, I want the extra block available to me. Halo of Illumination is a little bit iffy. I think I used it once, but having the extra block is generally more gooder. Ironhide Plate, again, another equipment, good to have. And Dreamweavers, really excellent. If you ever have a Phantasmify, even if you're going against somebody that you don't think is going to have a 6, remember this is a draft pool, so they're likely to just have 6s in there casually. Let's take a look at our generics. Here we have some junk that pitches for blue. Again, we need to fill out the deck, need to get our 30 cards, and I like to have blue pitch. These are not intended to actually be used, just some extra fuel. Zealous Belting, I love this card. This is one of my top picks for anything. And then some extra filler cards. If I need to do an attack there, that's fine. If I can use it for pitch, that's fine. Rise Above, I love to have any defensive reactions I can. This is, you never know what you're going to run across, and this is a good one to have. Seek Horizon is a nice card if you find it. Cards that have Go Again is pretty much free damage for you, or they can just be pitch. So I like having this card. I did combo this off a time where pitch this out, 3 damage, and then throw a Herald after that, which is excellent. So the Herald package was pretty good. A lot of red and yellow Heralds, which is generally what I'm looking for. Push some damage through. Some 7s, Herald Protection is great. A couple of Herald Rebirth yellows. Herald of Tenacity, the full rainbow of those. Very solid Heralds. A few blues in there. A little bit less power with the blues, but extra pitch when you need it. It's real good to have. This is a very nice mix. I was very happy with that. My light cards were okay. Rising Solar Tide is an okay attack if you've got nothing else going on. Blinding Beams are pretty nice to have. I like the higher pitch values rather than the reds. Usually blue is enough to get what you need out of it to stop your Herald from popping. But and then they can be used as pitch if you don't have anything, if you don't need to use them. They can also be good defenders. I believe you use the Blinding Beam yellow to pull 2 damage off an attack the opponent was doing. Impenetrable Belief, pretty good to have if you're playing against a chain. If not, some more pitch. Illuminate, free attack. I think I used this as a free attack once, but mostly just for blue pitch. And then a Soul Shield, excellent defense reaction. This was very helpful, definitely. And then for the Illusionist, I loved me some Enigma Chimera. Phantasmify is excellent if you have Dreamweavers. Spears is pretty good in limited environment. They're likely not to have a whole lot of Phantasm. This can pull another card from their hand, and if it doesn't get popped, then it has Go Again, which is nice. And then the Prismatic Shield Red is excellent. Create 3 Spectral Shields at instant speed. This very much came in handy throughout one of the matches. So the matches themselves, the first match I had was against a Bolton, and it was basically just throwing big heralds at him, pushing through a lot of damage. He was kind of forced to block. Bolton doesn't like to block very well, so I pushing in this big damage each turn created a bad situation for him, and left him with 2 cards a lot of times. So I was able to push more damage through than he was able to take. My second round was against a Prism, and this was a pretty interesting matchup. I think I ended the game. We were 2-3, and I threw my yellow Herald of Tenacity at him. I figured this was good. He was at 2. Since this has Dominate, I figured this would probably end the game, and he would probably have a 3 block. I'd get 2 damage in and kill him. He pulled out the only 6 power generic card that I saw in his deck and popped this and made me very sad. And he returned with a dominated 9 attack, and I could only block for 4. And so he won that game. But a really cool ending, I think. Round 3 was another Prism, and this time I just was very careful with my attacks and looked to make sure I'm pushing through as much damage as I can, but still being cautious of what he's going to return, and making sure that I had the right, what I needed to block, and I always expected him to come back for another turn, so that worked out well, and I won that match. In round 4, oh boy, round 4. Round 4, I was against Olivia, and I figured I was 2-1, and so, and this was the last round of the match, so this Levy has gone through some things and was probably pretty dangerous, so I was scared. And that fear led me to swing 1 Herald at Levia. And that Herald naturally got popped. And for the rest of the game, I went on defensive. I managed to get my Prismatic Shield out, and I just started aggressively blocking. I was able to use my Soul Shield early and get a Spectral Shield out. And I managed to keep a Spectral Shield out for a long time. And I never threw another Herald at him. It was Spectral Shield, Spectral Shield, Spectral Shield. Try to keep a blue in my hand for swinging the Spectral Shield, and working on defending and keeping my Spectral Shield alive with the other 3 cards. Towards the end of the game, I had 2 Spectral Shields out, and was swinging both of them each turn, and it started to get pretty gross. And I think I did throw a Herald in there eventually, where I'm swinging 2 Spectral Shields and throwing a Herald at him. It was a lot, and that game was very interesting. I ended that game with my life total at 17 and their life total at 1, and they had nothing. They couldn't manage that, and it was a beautiful thing. And that's how that draft went. All right, let's take a look at my second sealed pool. Again, Halo of Illumination, no other headpiece. Got another Ironhide plate, very good to have. Dreamweaver's and Ironhide Gauntlet. This made for some interesting decisions. Generally, I think Dreamweaver's is better. Maybe even better in the Bolton matchup. And then let's talk about Heralds. Let's take a look at this beauty. This is why I decided to go Prism. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red Heralds, essentially. I know there's Enigma Chimera in there, but holy cow, that's a lot of damage coming through. These are 7, 7, 7, 7, 6, 8, 7, and that 6 is with Dominate. This is a gross pool, and I knew that I had to at least try it. This is going to be major power available to me. And that's not even all of my Heralds. We have another Enigma Chimera in there. We have a yellow Phantasmify. Still just an amazing Herald package. Really needed to go with Prism. However, there's an issue. My light cards are okay-ish. They're fine, but they're not great. And some red in here, which I don't want to see. I want to see blue. I want to see yellows. I want to see fuel for my other stuff. Also, my my common pool did not have a significant number of blues. I think I pulled all of the blues out of the common pool that I could really run, and I still didn't have a lot. I like a yellow or a red Captain's Call. I would have been better if it was a yellow. And I got me a yellow Zealous Belting. A lot of these things only block for 2, which is not what I like to see. And the quantity here is, I've got more of these cards in here than I really want. And I knew when I built this is going to have some awkward hands, considering that I've got a large amount of reds in here. I don't quite have the quantity of blues and yellows that I want to actually fuel that attack. So let's talk about my matchups. My first matchup was against another Prism player, except he was a bit inexperienced. I ended up getting some Spectral Shields. I got some Heralds to hit early, so I got some cards in Soul, was able to create a Spectral Shield or 2. Went with a mix of attacking with a Spectral Shield, attacking with my Heralds, and that was a pretty easy win. My second round was against a Bolton player. And this Bolton player had a gross card pool. He had Via the Vanguard, which went off for a spectacular turn. Spectacular in as far as limited goes. Very powerful. He had 2 Exude Confidences, 1 foil and 1 not, and that was really pretty gross. And a Nourishing Emptiness. So my first Herald attack was popped immediately. I lost that match. I believe he was at 3 and I was at 1. Round 3 was against Chain. And I said Chain is not good in sealed unless you had the right pool. And I think that this player had the right pool. He had good sequencing. He was able to bring in a lot of big damage. I ended up soaking up more damage than I think I should have. I was looking at my hand. I was saying, oh, I got this great 4-card attack. I'm going to just, take this. And I really should have been blocking more. And he just had a lot of things coming at me that I really wasn't paying a lot of attention to. Note that Halo of Illumination has Spell Void 2, and I just ignored that text, and I could have prevented some of the arcane damage that he was sending my way. And I took way too much damage. I should not have done that. I ended up losing that game 4-1, and looking over the game afterwards and saying, man, I could have played that a whole lot better. But I got my redemption, because in the 4th round, it was another battle against Chain. And this time I learned my lessons. He started with his first attack. He came in for 11, and I was able to block that out. And then start returning the favor and swinging these big attacks. I was careful to read the cards in his banish zone. He had some cards that gained buffs from arcane damage, and I took that turn to use my Halo to block the arcane damage so he wouldn't get those buffs. Made it easier to block. Don't be afraid to ask to read the cards in Banish if you're not very familiar with them. And I was able to do much better with paying attention to what's going on, and I was able to push back and get the win with that. So those were my Saturday sealed events, and come back tomorrow and we'll talk about how Sunday went with the Pro Quest, some drafts, and the Commoner event. Talk to you then.